Then I'll be heading down to Mexico City.
Look, public.
Let's go and have a closer look. Unfortunately, I can't take my GoPro on board. Sometimes you go to places that aren't particularly thrilling. I've possibly got 2 collapsed lungs, but can't beat a bit of Britney. Absolute bollocks. Apple pen. That your real name's Bridget? Real name's Bridget. So we've entered the mysterious island of wherever it is. And by the way, happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. Yes. Chicken fried rice. Very interesting. Hello. Hello, ladies. Totally stunning. It was really quite horrific.
Day 999. The Tao of David, or the Journey of David, is coming to an end. Or is it? And in the spirit of this channel, to show that travel isn't all about kittens and bunnies and everything being perfect all the time, I'm filming this video in absolutely horrendous conditions in Hong Kong. 999 days ago, I decided to leave my life in the UK behind. I left my job, I sold my property, I sold my car, and I disposed of absolutely everything that I owned to travel for 6 months, to revitalise a passion for travel that I'd always had way back to when I was 19 and had my first backpacking trip across Southeast Asia and Australia. I set up this YouTube channel as a form of documenting a trip that wasn't just about taking 200 photos of the same thing from a slightly different angle. It was primarily for my family and friends to show an amusing style in terms of travel, the realities of travel. But things quickly changed. People started watching my videos, which I never expected, and YouTube became part of my income. As time went on, there was never a moment that I made a conscious decision to continue traveling, and almost 3 years later, I'm still doing it. One thing that had always frustrated me, emphasis on the past tense, is people that would say to me, "You're so lucky to be doing what you're doing." And my answer to that was always, it's not luck, it's ambition, it's hard work, it's patience, it's perseverance. People that have no ambition, people that are apathetic, people that rely on hope, destiny, fate, are people that frustrate me. Apathy. We should not rely on hope in life to get by. We need to get our fingers out and live our lives. However, over the last 3 years, I have changed monumentally. I am the polar opposite of what I was back in the beginning. And the primary reason for this is people. When people say that I'm lucky or fortunate, I now realise that I am. I was lucky, just like millions of people in the world, to have won the geographical lottery of being born in an English-speaking country that was strong in terms of its economy, a country that was able to give me opportunities to gain a good career with a decent salary that allowed me to buy a property in London, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world. I was then able to sell that property, and it allowed me to travel full-time. Something that I always knew was the fact that not everyone was in that position. However, it was something that wasn't fully at the forefront of my mind. In the beginning, I was a complete arsehole. I was arrogant, I was naive, and despite having travelled extensively in the past, I was still ignorant, so ignorant about the world, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I think that's a good thing that I'm admitting that. There are so many people in this world that aren't lucky and fortunate. People that are born in countries where English is not the first language, where they don't have opportunities to have a great career, to earn a good salary. In many countries in the world, people earn only enough to put a roof over their head. They live day by day. Even buying food is a struggle. I experienced this firsthand when I was in Colombia. I lived with a Venezuelan refugee for 3 months. And because he was in the country essentially illegally, he was unable to gain a proper job. He had to work cash in hand. And the money that he brought home at the end of the month after working 13 hours a day, 6 days a week, was a pittance in comparison to what I was earning working online. And this broke my heart. I couldn't believe that the world was in this situation where people from certain countries were unable to have what I had. And it was massive for me. It made me far more humble and appreciative. I also saw it when I was in Cuba and in Mexico. People that didn't have much, people that didn't have what I had growing up. But did they complain about it? Did they moan? No, they didn't. They just got on with their lives. And that's an attribute of people that I have come to love in a way, because when I think back to being in the UK and the issue of white privilege, it's horrendous how we complain and moan about the most trivial things. This channel was originally called First World Traveller, which is a play on words with first world problems, and that's what this was all about in the beginning. I didn't realise that I complained about these things that were trivial and stupid and pathetic, that people all around the world, for them, it would never even be a blip on their radar. They have more important things to worry about. Okay, as you can probably tell, it started raining again, but I don't care, I'm continuing. When it comes to teaching English, I gained a teaching qualification about 2 years ago, and it has allowed me to teach English to people all around the world at different levels, and it's enabled me to continue travelling full time. Something that has astounded me is the level of hard work and commitment and ambition that people have when it comes to learning English. I didn't need to learn English in order to travel more easily. I didn't need to learn English to study. I didn't need to learn English to work for a multinational company. There are millions of people in the world that need to do that in order to quite simply live their life. And those people have taught me a lot about ambition and commitment. It's just amazing. As a white British person, or anyone in the Western world that has English as a native language, we need to all be humble about this. We are incredibly lucky that we do not have that extra element, that extra obstacle in our life that so many people in the world do. And this is something that has also made me realise that we are all the same. People are all the same, regardless of what country we're from, regardless of racism, prejudice, economical situations, political situations, we are all the same, quite simply. Even though I can say that I was lucky and not I was privileged. Not everything was rosy when I was in the UK. I had struggles with my sexuality. Was I gay? Was I asexual? I had struggles with relationships. My relationships in the past generally involved power and control and obsession, jealousy and manipulation. It's something that I continue to struggle with to this day. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder 6 years ago, and I had a drug addiction for many years. I had 4 overdoses. On September the 10th, 2010, my heart stopped for about 5 seconds. But that was the most peaceful 5 seconds of my life. That is the reason why I put myself in positions that could be dangerous, that could be risky. Because that day taught me that we need to live our lives, and death isn't something to be scared of. That's something that has completely changed my life. And those were dark days, and people often talk to me about bravery and courage. You're so brave to be travelling around the world by yourself, but I've never seen it like that. I think sometimes in life when we have problems, huge problems, we can never see the way out. And in my situation back then, absolutely, I could not see the way out. I've always been quite a strong person. I've always found the solution to whatever's going on in my life. But that was something that I honestly believed would be the end of me, that I would not be able to recover from. And if I hadn't left the UK when I did, I'm adamant I would be dead right now, quite simply. So I left, and that has been the best thing I've ever done, the best decision I've ever made, because it changed my life. And what I want to say is that if you are in a situation like that where you can't see a way out, there is a way out. It's not necessarily in front of our faces. We have to come to a point in our lives, not necessarily rock bottom, but a point where we just know. That is something that as an adult you can't write a book about it. There isn't this answer, this magical answer. Each of us experience that epiphany, that revelation in a different way. And if I can do it, so can you. I met Rafi about 2 years ago, and in relation to love, as I said, I always thought love was about obsession and jealousy and manipulation. I don't know where that came from. But when I met Rafi, everything changed. From the moment I met him, I realised that love is about caring about someone else more than you care about yourself. And I've always felt that way about him from day one. We have had similar lives in terms of the problems we've faced and the fact that we've both left our home country to try and fight for a better life. And I can't wait to see him again. It's something that I'm so looking forward to. I've been by myself for so long, and I think it's time to stop that. I don't know what's going to happen. We might just be friends. I think that's everything I want to say. I hope you can realise what I'm saying. I know some of it you might not have known about, and you might be saying, why am I sharing personal stuff? It doesn't have the same impact if I'm trying to inspire people if I don't share my story. Those issues are all still problems. I had relapses in Colombia, in Mexico City. I will always be an addict. I will always have issues with my mental health. I'll always have issues with relationships, but it's about managing it and not letting it beat you. Right now it's not. I'm in Hong Kong. So now we are off to the airport. It's time to go to Indonesia and finally meet day 1000.